I looked at the weather earlier, there was no indication that it was going to rain like this. The simple fact is, we just weren't ready. We didn't have enough scuppers on the deck to support the amount of water that came down in a short amount of time. The ones that we do have were easily clogged by debris on the decks, and they just weren't enough to support the type of water that we got in this short rainfall.
It doesn't look like this is going to end anytime soon. This is pretty nasty stuff. That's the heaviest rain clouds I think I've seen in this part of California ever. Thunder and lightning are pretty intense out here. I think I'm going to spend a lot of the evening walking around looking for places that the water has come into the ship, and I'm sure it has.
The number one rule that I've learned the hard way during my time on this ship: never fall asleep during a storm and always stay alert. Anything can happen. Luckily, we got off easy and not a lot of water made it into the ship. But it's very apparent that I'm going to have a lot of work to do over the next few days. But I really do enjoy fabricating, so this is right up my alley. I have to stay alert and frequently check the scupper that is working on this side, make sure that it's not actually clogged up again, and this one seems to be flowing pretty well. According to NOAA, this rain should be stopping pretty soon, and then I can probably get a little bit of sleep tonight before I have to wake up in the morning and get to work on fixing all these issues.
Well, that was a crazy rainstorm we had yesterday, and now for the next couple of days I have my work cut out for me because I'm going to be fabricating a new drainage system out of some of the old materials that we cut off the ship, the old railing systems. So stick around for that. It's going to be kind of entertaining. We'll see what I can actually fabricate and come up with. I have a couple ideas, but I don't have anything really carved in stone. I'm going to be kind of doing it on the fly. But stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to be giving away a crazy amount of Aurora Restoration Project t-shirts, and you definitely want to stick around to find out how you can get yours. I have a couple areas on the side of the ship that I have to cut away because they're pretty bent up. Not to mention they're in kind of bad shape. I mean, if I could just bend them back, that'd be great, but they're in pretty bad shape, so we're just going to go ahead and slice them off. And this is going to be about a 4-foot section. Well, maybe more like a 5-foot section. And this is another area. We may have to get the air chisel out and get rid of some of this thick rust in order to be able to do this.
Most of the rust that we find on the decks comes off fairly easy, and it doesn't really cause that much damage. We just need to clean it up and get another coat of paint on it so that it won't rust again anytime soon. Now, plasma cutters are another story. I was introduced to plasma cutters about 5 or 6 years ago, and I can never go back to a regular torch. I was never really that great at a regular torch, but plasma cutters cut so precise, it's easy to take out a piece of metal and replace it with absolute precision and make it look like it was never even cut out. You can see all the pitting from the rust that we had to chisel off of these sidewalls, and I think we did that in a prior video. There's still a lot of areas that we're going to need to cut out and replace in order to make this thing look good again, but for now we're just going to cut out what we need to in order to make a proper scupper system. This piece of metal is in pretty bad shape. They welded some hooks to it to hang some fenders from that in turn bent the hell out of this thing. So it's a great candidate to cut out and replace and actually put the scupper right here. Inches by 5.5 inches. This is some of the base plate from some of the railing that we just cut off. Most of it's in pretty good condition, so I think we're going to try to use what we can in order to do the job that we need to do now. There are some benefits to using the original steel from the ship. It's a lot more compatible than anything that you can buy today. This is, however, going to be a lot more difficult to prep. I don't have a large enough piece to do the entire job, so I'm going to have to weld two pieces together. So I want to get this as accurate as I possibly can. Joining these two pieces of steel together was pretty easy, but now I had to cut off all of the excess metal so it was easier to put into place so I could fit it. Just look at how clean that line is. That's just one of the benefits of having a plasma cutter over a gas torch. Now it's time to start preparing this area for the new metal. I'm going to start by pounding off all of the old slag. Comes off pretty easy. Next, I need to level the surface so that the two pieces of metal will have the least amount of gap between them. I'll also take this opportunity to clean up the metal so that the welds will penetrate. Now it's time to get our new piece of steel fitted into place. Still way too large of a gap. I need to throw this thing back up on the workbench, grind it off, and actually clean this piece of metal and get it ready to put into place. Now this project's starting to take form. This thing is looking good. Unfortunately, there's not enough hours in the day, so I'm going to have to abandon this project and we'll start back in first thing in the morning. It's a bit breezy this morning, but it's a perfect day to finish this project and get this thing welded in once and for all. As it turns out, trying to fit this thing in perfect is going to be the biggest challenge of this entire project. After installing my guide and resetting this thing up, it's pretty clear to see that there's still some gap underneath of this thing. So I'm going to mark it and then do a little bit more grinding. It's amazing how time-lapse can actually make this project look easy. Now to start the fun process of welding. Easy to weld, hard to make it perfect, but it seems to be turning out fantastic. I have a ton of welding to do on both the front and the back of this piece of metal, but it sure is turning out nice. Now it's time to level the top and cut off the last piece of scrap metal. This is actually kind of fun to do, so I decided to slow down the plasma cutter and let you see just how it looked in slow motion. One of the best things about working in this location is to watch the wildlife around us. I think that this sea lion actually caught a fish. I've selected the piece of steel that I'm going to use for the scupper, and now it's time to get it cut out and put into place. I figure 15 inches is about the magic number to divert the water away from the ship.
So this is our angle right here. Hopefully that's enough to divert the water away from the ship. So if this thing's sitting, if this is the side of the ship, then this would be just about like that. I think that this is just enough to let the water drain efficiently and let it run off. I might give it just a hair more of an angle because I think it looks a little more aesthetically pleasing if it has a little bit more of an angle.
I have just enough of this steel to put 3 scuppers on either side of the ship at the low points. And it's pretty therapeutic building these things, but I want to have them all match identical. Once these things are installed, they should solve all the drainage problems that we've had over the years. The surface rust is easily coming off this metal, and they're looking pretty great polished.
Now for the arts and craft segment of this whole thing. So this is going to act as the scupper, and it's going to go ahead and drain at this angle, and it won't be able to climb back. It won't be able to climb back up the outside. Well, if it does, it's only going to be a couple inches, but it'll be well over the side of the ship. But I have to cut a hole in the side of the boat this size up here, so in the piece that I just patched. So I have to match this identical so that there's no lip on it that can start rusting out. So to do that, I'm going to take a piece of paper and simply just kind of follow it around. I'm going to get the exact dimensions. Kind of helps to have my hands a little dirty at the moment because it actually, so you can see the perfect rectangle now, and I have to cut this out and take my Sharpie and draw this onto the side where we intend to plasma cut the hole out. So I'm going to go ahead and chop this. Let's get the big paper out of the way. That's the exact dimension. I want to get these identical on both sides of the ship. So I'm going to do an exact mirror on the other side, and I want to get them exactly perfect right down to the 1/10 of an inch if I can. here's our rectangle that we have to cut out.
My idea is to get this hole completely flush with the deck so that there's no standing water once this thing is installed. Everything seems to match up and this thing is looking perfect. It's going to look great once it's welded to the outside. This thing's turning out better than I thought. I welded it from the outside and now I have to finish welding it on the inside. I think I'm going to run over this 2 or 3 times with the welder just so I'm sure that it won't be a problem in the future. Now, for those of you that stuck around for the chance to get your free Aurora Restoration Project t-shirt, all you have to do is tell us what you love most about this channel. Best answers get a free shirt. Simple as that. If you're enjoying this channel, then please do us a favor and like and subscribe. And if you're interested in supporting this massive project, then check out our Patreon page. The link is in the description below. You're going to see some content that we don't post anywhere else.